The Meridian star was 3 days from port when the captain's dinner turned into a crime scene. I had boarded as a guest of the cruise line's owner, a favor between old friends, and I spent the first 2 nights admiring the ship the way any tourist would. On the third night, Charles Ambrose, the man who owned half the vessel beneath our feet, was found dead in the ship's library, a glass of brandy untouched beside him, his reading spectacles still perched on his nose. I am Detective Cole. The ship's doctor called it his heart. I called it something else the moment I saw the window latch open a crack, in the middle of the ocean, in a room where Ambrose always complained of drafts. A man who hates cold air does not crack his own window before he dies of natural causes. The ship would not reach port for 2 more days. No one could leave. No one could arrive. Whoever killed Charles Ambrose was walking the same decks as the rest of us, eating at the same tables, and I had 2 days of open water to find them among 5 people who had dined with him that very night. The first was Diana Ambrose, his third wife, 30 years his junior, who stood to inherit a fortune and a fleet the moment his heart, real or otherwise, stopped beating. The second was Robert Hale, Ambrose's business partner, whose name had quietly vanished from the company's letterhead the week before we sailed, replaced, I learned, by Ambrose's own signature on every account. The third was Sophia Ambrose, his daughter from his first marriage, who had not spoken to her father in 6 years and had booked her ticket, I discovered, only 9 days ago. The fourth was James Cole, no relation to me, a coincidence the ship's purser found very funny, the ship's chief steward, who served every meal at the captain's table and who Ambrose had, in front of 30 witnesses, called a thief that very afternoon over a missing bottle of 54 wine. The fifth was Dr. Elena Marsh, the ship's physician, who signed the death certificate in 9 minutes and whose signature, I noticed, was already halfway dry when I arrived to view the body. I searched the library. 3 things did not belong to a man dying quietly in his chair. The brandy glass, full to the rim. Ambrose never left a glass untouched in his life, every steward on board would tell you that. A torn playing card, the ace of spades, wedged beneath the chair leg as though it had fallen from a pocket in a struggle. And the ship's log for that hour, which showed the library door opening twice in 12 minutes, though only 1 visit had been reported to me. Here is where I ask you to sit with the case as I did, alone on a dark deck with the ocean on every side. 5 suspects locked on a ship with no shore in sight. A wife with a fortune waiting. A partner erased from a company. A daughter with a sudden ticket. A steward called a thief in public. A doctor too quick to sign a death certificate. An untouched glass, a torn card, a door that opened twice. Who killed Charles Ambrose? Pause here, and think it through before the tide carries you to the answer. The wineglass told me the truth eventually, full, untouched, and poisoned, but poisoned in a way that would only kill a man who breathed its fumes for an hour in a closed room, not one who drank it. That ruled out anyone who needed him to swallow something. It also told me the killer had been in that room long enough to set the trap and leave before the air turned deadly, which meant a key, and time alone. The torn ace of spades was the daughter's, I confirmed it, dropped during a shouting match with her father 2 hours before he died, a fight about the will, about 6 years of silence, about money she swore she didn't want. But a woman who screams at her father in a corridor, loud enough for 3 passengers to hear, is not a woman quietly poisoning a room. Loud grief and quiet murder rarely share a face. The partner, Robert Hale, had motive enough to fill the ship's hold, but Hale had been at the card tables in full view of the casino staff at the hour in question, an alibi as solid as the hull itself. The wife wept beautifully and inherited everything, but she had been seasick in her cabin since we left port, attended by the very physician who now stood over the body. Dr. Elena Marsh signed the certificate in 9 minutes. Too fast for a man who complained, only that morning, of chest pains to no one but her, in confidence, during a routine appointment, a complaint she never mentioned to me until I asked directly, and only then because she assumed the ship's own logs would give her away first. She had access to the library key card, logged at the exact hour the room opened for its second unreported visit. She had access to compounds no passenger could carry aboard. And she had the only real motive I found last, an old debt from another cruise line, another death, another doctor who signed too quickly and was paid, I would learn later, very well for her signature. Ambrose had discovered it. He confronted her that very afternoon, not the steward, not over wine, but over an insurance file from a decade before that bore her name and a payment she couldn't explain. He gave her until port to resign quietly. She gave him 9 more minutes of paperwork and a room full of poison air. We reached port 2 days later under a clear sky. Dr. Marsh did not disembark with the other passengers. Ambrose's family inherited a fortune, a fleet, and a story none of them had wanted to hear. The ocean kept our secret for exactly as long as it took me to ask the right question. I am Detective Cole. And this has been Murder in the Dark.